Always
Welcome.
ready. Better late than never.
Better late than never. We've literally got games tonight that people will probably just watch instead. But we've got a recap.
We do have to recap, but
The
we'll
week that
start with
was in the NBA, last week in the NRL, and the AFL. So
we'll
we'll start
start
with the
off big.
NBA.
That's it, the important stuff.
Exactly.
We've got our well, the first team got into the conference finals, and that
Yep.
was the Pacers.
Your dark horse.
I've been calling it. No one believed me.
We
They
need
all doubted
100,000
me.
listeners.
I should have actually, if I was a betting man, I reckon that would have been a good bet if I'd
Yeah.
stuck the Pacers. But
Because everyone at first thought they wouldn't even get past the Bucks,
yeah,
let
hundred
alone to win in
percent.
five. And then they've annihilated the Cavs.
But
Um,
Halliburton, the most overrated player, is probably the best player in the finals at the moment in the East.
I mean, Indiana as a team have been unbelievable through the whole time, but when the whips needed to be cracked, when they were down in game five, they were down by like 20, and then Halliburton was
Yeah,
hitting fucking everything and
they're
proved that why he is an all star. He was unbelievable in that game five.
they're
Um,
still my pick to make it to the end. The only way that I will go against them is if my Knicks can get past Boston.
I
That's when
mean,
I
which, speaking of that, the Knicks absolutely should beat Boston. Now, from when we're recording this, game five has just happened. The Celtics obviously blew out the Knicks, but that was that typical game five. You could just see the intensity from the Knicks wasn't there as much being in Boston. I think they
yeah.
want to get it done in New York.
Well, the Knicks were tied at half time, at like
Hmm.
60,
69 each?
yeah, all. And then it started off really good, but Derek White, someone had to step up. Everyone said it was going to be Brown. White's a great player, underrated. He's actually a gun. He got 7 3 pointers in this game, which definitely was the difference.
It's still one of the biggest thefts in NBA history. How Celtics got him from the Spurs for basically a bag of chips, I'll never understand. But Derek
Yeah.
White was awesome today. Going back to the Pacers Cavs though,
Yes.
um, yeah, the, we said it. Other podcasts that I've listened to have said it. The Pacers jump shooting is just way too good. Like they're just
Oh, it is.
absolutely lighting it up from the field. Um, Miles Turner's hitting shots. Nemhard's been shooting the ball better than what he usually does through the regular season. Pascal Siakam's been doing his thing. I reckon they've just got an awesome, well-rounded team.
What do
Um,
you? I even at the beginning of the playoffs, I called the Cavs the 2014-15 Hawks. I had that sense. There was no zing that they were going to make it to the end.
I don't know. I don't know. I think so. It came out that Austin Reeves had that bung toe
Yeah,
and he looked like a shell of himself. Apparently, the same thing is what was going on with Darius Garland, and he clearly
yeah,
looked like a shell of himself as well. So, obviously, it's an issue when your big toe. You can't put any weight through that properly. You can't
yeah.
jump,
All your pressure does go through the big toe.
and you just can't exert yourself as much. So he clearly didn't look as good. Mobley was obviously hindered from his
You've got
injury in
someone
game
that
one.
said a big inspirational text message.
This is fucking hilarious to me. So, if anyone followed the NBA back in 2016 when LeBron and the Cavs came back from 3-1, they would know that LeBron sent out a text saying, if you don't think we can come back from 3-1, don't get on the fucking plane, was the text. Max Strus, channeling his inner Cleveland LeBron, sends a group chat text message. If you're not going to show up to work, what did he say? If you don't think we can win tomorrow, don't show up for work. What were his game five stats, side?
He went 0 from 9, so he got 0 points, 7 boards, 2 assists, and that was it.
0 for 9 from the field, 0 for 6. Buddy, I could have shot that. You may as well have not rocked up for work.
Yeah,
That was
it was
embarrassing.
good. Oh, he got 4 personal fouls as well. So
So you wanted to actually go to Cancun early and join the coach on the
yeah, he
bench
was
too with foul
aggressive. He
trouble.
was only 2 away from getting his season over quicker. That was all in 26 minutes. So
Bum.
that is right
Now,
message, wrong guy.
now, a guy that if he started the season how he finished the season, Ty Jerome, probably would have won Six Man of the Year. What
Mm.
the hell happened to him in that series? He looked like I just watched a man lose $80 million guaranteed next year.
Yeah, he didn't even look like himself. Only getting 8 points and 2 assists, and that was it. 3 fouls, 11 minutes.
His whole series, he was nowhere near where he's been all. His off the bench scoring just used to lift them past. Like they used to. Their starting five was always relatively good, but then that bench unit would come on and they'd go up to here. But they were just getting outscored. Like TJ McConnell looked like a way better. Now TJ McConnell's a good basketballer,
Yeah.
but to make Ty Jerome just look like the way he did, I don't know what happened to him, but they just capitulated
Boston should have won game one, and I reckon that changed everything. It
big
just
time.
filleted them. I know people would say this and that, but I'm pretty sure they had a hefty lead on Indiana in that game, and they blew it.
Sorry, Cleveland or Boston? You said
Cleveland.
Boston.
Oh, sorry, Cleveland.
Yeah,
Sorry, had a
yeah.
Cleveland, Boston on the same thing.
Well,
Blowing
both.
them.
Yeah, well, Boston did. That's why it took me a while to pick up what you were putting down. I was like,
That
oh,
first game, I'm pretty sure that first quarter was like 30 something to like 17.
both game one and two, and even today with game five, Cleveland had a sizable lead, and the Pacers just with their jump shooting just got them back into it. Game two for me was the biggest switching point. I think we went through it. It was 119 to 112 with 40 seconds to
Yeah.
go, and somehow, yeah, Halliburton just scores 4 points in 3 seconds to basically win the game. So
Is that the one where Donovan had 48 points?
he had 48, so we can't discredit Donovan Mitchell. He got injured in one of the games, but he averaged 40 across the 4 games that he wasn't injured. So it's not like he didn't fucking try his ass off.
Apparently, he hasn't slept since the
Yeah,
loss.
yeah. Don't know how true that would be, but apparently he's rewatched the game only twice, but hasn't slept. So I don't know how you watch the game only 2 times. It's a 45-minute game when you cut out all the ads and the bullshit.
But
But
does he stay there?
what
Or is
do,
this
what do they
just
need? What do they need?
well, they
I don't
had
know.
everything.
They had Jared Allen was a good center. Evan Mobley's a DPOI.
I don't really
You're
think
an all star.
they're
What
all
do you do?
good players. I don't know. A, a good draft pick? I don't know. He won't change anything. Uh, I got the defensive player of the year for God's sake.
DeAndre Hunter came in and looked pretty good in that side too.
They
I,
played
I don't know
well.
what you do.
I don't know if they look for a veteran that has won it or
Yep.
just a leader. I'm not saying that the players they've got aren't, but I know someone that's experienced making it to the end just to be that one to be on the court when shit goes down.
Mm.
I'm not talking about no Udonis Haslam that sat on the bench for six of
Doing these
the
ones.
last. I'm talking about just an old vet like when Kevin Garnett went back to the T Wolves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just an old head just to help the young guys because Donovan's never made it that far.
Yeah.
Obviously he knows how to play, but there needs to be an old head. That's I don't know if that's the plan. Maybe just a better game plan.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Like just different ways to integrate
They're
different
a
guys
great
into the
team.
offense.
I don't really see a way you can. Obviously, the way to fix it would be lock up when you have a decent lead and
Yeah,
play
literally.
smart.
Yeah, so just late game execution. I mean, and mate, yeah, I don't know. I don't know where you go. You won 68 games. It's not like you're a shit side.
Yeah, but then
So
you just can't underrate that Pacers side at the end of the day.
you can't win every year. I know the Clippers and the Spurs would tell you that through the mid 2010s when they used to win a shitload of games as well.
Absolutely.
All right,
Should we go
Bree,
stay in the East?
stay in the East. Your Knickerbockers. Now, I won't say what Doris Burke said on the telecast.
I
Um,
think it's yeah. I didn't have a. I thought we might have hopefully won this one, but I think if they are to make it, it'd be better to win it at home in Game 6.
yeah, I think that'll be their plan. I feel like you had the breathing room to see what it would look like without Tatum.
Yeah,
So obviously, since last recording, Jason Tatum has snapped his Achilles. So
yeah, that
he's
is
not only
not
out for the
good.
rest of the season, but for all of next year as well. Um, but I mean, his idol's Kobe Bryant. Kobe also snapped his Achilles, so he's just living in the Mumba's footsteps. But
That
no,
is tough. Yeah, that's
very
not a good
upsetting for
injury.
Tatum. Um, but it looked like they were just seeing how Boston would throw their punches through White, Pritchard, and Brown.
Yeah,
Now, Kristaps was so bad, apparently he couldn't breathe. I still don't know what that sickness is. Everyone's saying it's
uh,
AIDS.
it's probably just a
Don't shoot the
blocked
messenger.
nose.
No, apparently Kristaps has been pretty unwell for a long period of time. So
Yeah,
keep an eye on what comes out over the off season over that. But yeah,
we
I feel
were
like
taking. Oh, sorry, you finish.
I was just going to say I feel like Tibbs just wanted to see what sort of changes that Boston made, and then they'll make adjustments, and then they'll try and win in New York in Game Six.
Well, but I watched a bit of it on my break, and they got an 8 point lead, but they were taking dumb shots to build up that 8 point lead. Cat had just got fouled in the most dumbest way, which got him on three bloody fouls in the second. And then I thought, oh, we got an 8 point lead, this should be good. And then I get notifications that they've gone on this big hot streak and that we're back down by like 19.
And there was a stage where Boston just sort of hit contested jump shots, and you were kind of like, can't really do too much there. But I know Brunson, like halfway through the third quarter, Brunson had 4 fouls, and so did Cat. So if they're in constant foul trouble and they're going to play passively, it's no reason why Boston just went attack mode and they couldn't do anything. They're basically playing with
Yeah.
three defenders on the floor and hiding Cat and hiding Brunson. You just can't play like that. So I think they'll be
Fingers
fine.
crossed. Yeah, fingers crossed. We've got two more chances at it. Even if it goes to seven, I still feel confident the Knicks can do it.
Yeah, with no Tatum, you'd have to think that Brunson and Cat can get it done.
Yeah.
Mitch Robinson probably needs to just stay behind and make sure he tries to hit 3,000 free throws before the next game, because that man fucking is just getting hacked all the time.
And Bridges needs to start. He's a defensive machine. Just needs to score a bit more.
Yeah, he had that. Well, what gave them the 3-1 lead? His last quarter was obviously unbelievable. But besides that, in all games, he's not shot the ball well. So he
Yeah.
definitely needs to improve there.
Just get us to the conference final, please.
Please. So I need to see that Knicks Pacers 90s revival come back.
I do need to see that because that would be amazing.
Now, we'll go to the series that's finished in the West. Timberwolves today got the job done with no Steph Curry. They end up
Crazy.
going through Golden State in five. Um, that was a pretty, in all honesty, that was the ugliest series to watch. Those games were just so defensive. I think this was the most sort of free scoring out of all 5 games. But
I reckon
yeah,
they kind
how'd
of
you
got
view it?
lucky. Steph got injured.
Mm.
He just watched them get slowly dismantled. Julius Randle actually stepped up.
He's been amazing. I've been impressed with his assists and his passing. He's probably underrated in that facet. I've never known Julius Randle was a good passer, but if you actually look at his stats this
Yeah,
year and even last year, his passing out of the post and when he draws double teams, he actually makes the right reads.
yeah. I didn't think Golden State would make it this far, but I reckon obviously they had Jimmy Butler, but just completely new system, new style of play. Obviously, he can't get. He obviously led them, but what's that kid's name? Podzingski, whatever. He stepped
Brandon
up.
Krajinski, yeah, he was huge with no Curry. The other one that I thought was interesting, and I don't know what happens in the off season with him. Um, I'll need to get his name up. But without Steph, they started playing him a bit more. Jonathan Kaminga.
Yeah, he's
So he
good.
scored 26 today. He had another game where he scored 30, but he was literally getting DMPs when Steph was in the side,
Yeah,
because he's an ISO scorer. So if they're going to keep Jimmy, if they're going to keep Pods, obviously, Steph to run it back. If they keep that core, what do they do with?
Well, Buddy Hield only dropped 8 points tonight.
Yeah, well, he had some legacy game the other week. Like,
30 minutes worth of basketball, he gets 8 points.
yeah. So, and your team loses by 11. If he even just gets like a 2 extra 3 pointers and it goes to like just having that extra pressure on the Timberwolves just would have gone a long way. But
Yeah.
Buddy didn't really show up when it mattered most.
Did you see Draymond's little thing about the 5.5
Yeah,
unders and overs?
yeah, a little bit strange. And then he got fined 50K, so they went with more fives.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like how the NBA is a bit rigged with their draft system.
Do you want to? Should we speak about the Thunder and then speak about the draft?
Yeah, I reckon quickly go to the game of the round again. I reckon of the series.
That was the best game. Well, this series has been the best out of the semis so far, East and West. This has
Oh.
been exactly what everyone sort of thought would happen.
Big numbers. Because people are
Um,
saying whoever wins this could win the whole thing.
Yeah, I almost feel like this is the finals now at this stage. Like, who on the Timberwolves would actually be able to guard Jokic? Like, I'm pretty sure he gives Rudy Gobert hell
Oh, he'd give him a bath.
every time. Um, so I feel like if Denver made it through, they'll go through to the finals, and then like what Cat's gonna guard, or like what the Boston don't have a center anymore. Kristaps is
Yeah.
dead. So yeah, I feel like if Denver get through, they could probably win the chip, and then OKC are just OKC. If they get through, I can't see anyone beating
Just
them.
young and dominant. They're just all stepping up. All these
Yeah.
young players. They should have been there last year, I still reckon.
Now, as an OKC fan, my apologies, Lou Dort. I was berating that man. I think it was in game 4. That guy could not hit water if he fell out of a boat. And if it wasn't for Alex Caruso and like Aaron Wiggins and Kayson Wallace, we would have lost and we would have been down 3-1.
Yeah.
Comes back in game 5 and shoots 12 points, but like just timely threes. I think he hit 2 back to back in the last quarter that just the game, it was tied. It was like 103 each. And it was his 3-pointer that sort of sent them in front, and they never looked back after that. So, my apologies, Lou Dort.
I reckon people are still sleeping on Jokic. He's been putting up insane numbers.
Box score watching, maybe you. So, now, game 5, unbelievable. Game 1, unbelievable. Nikola's stats have actually been pretty average. He's shooting from the field and his turnovers have been arse. So
He had
besides,
2 turnovers in this game.
yep, so this was unbelievable this game, 44 and 15 with only 2 turnovers, and he shot the ball well. If you go back and look through the rest of the series though, in all the 3 games that, the other 3 games that they played, I think Nikola has not shot the ball that well, and he's turned it over a lot. Which is why it was good seeing him clean it up this game, because he was the clear best player on the court this game. He was unbelievable.
Do you reckon he's still runner-up? MVP?
Yep. Yep. Shea, now I got nervous. I commented this on a OKC Instagram page. Shea Gilgeous started 2 for 10 from the floor.
Ooh.
And Denver were holding a pretty good lead. And I'm thinking, could you imagine if they lose game 5 and Shea's shot like 5 for 19 or something? They would just
Yeah.
berate him. He ended up shooting 12 of 23.
Yeah, just
So he
clutched
went
up.
10 of 13 for the rest of the game. Hit clutch free throws, made the right plays, and just proved why he's the MVP, I feel. So, yeah, Shea's still my tip.
Well, they're
for that.
still the
He has
top
to get that.
seed. You got to give
Yeah.
it to him.
Yep, absolutely. How do you reckon? Do you reckon Thunder get that done in 6?
I reckon it's a wrap. I reckon. What is it?
It's
Tomorrow.
3-2 now, and they go to Denver tomorrow.
Yeah, I reckon Friday, Saturday, they'll both get wrapped up.
Yep.
And on to
Yep.
the conference then.
Yep. So, okay, quick little preview then, because I think it would have already started by our next step. So we're thinking Knicks,
Yeah, I'm
and
going
we've got the
Knicks
Pacers. So if that's going to be the case and it's Knicks Pacers, how do you see it?
still. I reckon it's an old school 7 game rivalry between two teams that have history.
Yeah. Because to me, both their late game execution is the reason. One, the Pacers have already gotten through, but then two, the Knicks are where they are.
Yeah,
So now you've got two teams that have been executing in the clutch. Imagine if they're close games. It's
Yeah,
going to
it's
be an
like-
unbelievable series.
at least 2 overtimes, I reckon.
Oh yeah, I think there'll be overtime games in this series for sure. I can't see it being any lower than 6 games.
Hmm.
So if I had to pick, I'd probably say Pacers in 7.
Yeah. Well, if Pacers do it, I still called it, so I'll be like,
Yeah, exactly. Now we both think then the Thunder are going to win. So Thunder Timberwolves. How do you see that?
I think Thunder will get past the Timberwolves.
Yep. Yeah.
Maybe Timberwolves might steal a game somewhere back in Minnesota.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that would be a Thunder in 5.
Like it'd
I
be a
think
game.
I think they'd be too fast for Minnesota.
I reckon it'd be like game 4. They're down 3-0. Timberwolves win that game, I reckon.
Yep. Yep. And that would be about it.
Then the next
just feel
game,
like-
I reckon they'd get smashed by 20 plus in the decider if they make it.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. I can't see that being close. Do you know what would be funny though?
What's that?
Imagine if the Knicks and Timberwolves made the finals, and then you can really find out who won the trade.
Yeah, that would be
Between-
actually good.
That would be epic. And then say the Wolves win, because who initiated the trade? The Wolves went to the Knicks, didn't they?
I think so.
So then imagine that the Wolves beat them and go. Made
Well,
the
if
right
New
call.
York win, that city's going to burn on fire because those fans are insane.
Dude, I can't see at least 30 people not dying in New York if they win the chip. There'll be riots everywhere.
I hope we do. It's been since, what, 73?
It's been a long time. And OKC have never won at all, so that would also be massive.
And the Pacers haven't won in the NBA, I don't think. They might have won in the ABA,
Yeah,
think.
I think you're right. I
but
think
they
you're right.
haven't
But
won
I
an
don't.
NBA title.
I wouldn't have known if they'd won one. I don't think they
Neither
have.
have the Timberwolves. So whoever wins it, well, Denver could still obviously make it, and Boston could somehow pull rabbits out the hat.
Yeah. Yeah. Imagine if Boston somehow won without Jason Tatum. How would that look on his resume? That you'd probably say Jaylen Brown's your 2-time final MVP and he won the finals without you.
Yeah, it would be Jalen's fucking team.
It'd be Jalen's team and then
Or
Tatum's
Derek
getting
White
shipped.
wins it. Wins finals MVP.
I saw here's an interesting one before we move on. I saw this was pre-Achilles, but a podcast that I listened to put forward straight swap. Let's say Boston are doing what they're going to do and they get rid of Porzingis and they get rid of Drew Holiday in the offseason to clear up some cap. They call up Milwaukee. We'll straight swap you Tatum for Giannis. Would have you done that? And let's say if you're the Bucks, you also get a first round pick in 5 years.
Yeah, I reckon that's a perfect trade. Fuck, they done it to Isaiah Thomas when he was
Yeah,
fifth
to
in
the Cavs.
He was 5th in the MVP and they got rid of him. He was the star player.
Now, obviously, Tatum's better than Isaiah Thomas, but
Yeah.
pre-Achilles, Tatum's shortcomings again in the playoffs, because it's not like this is the first time that besides the 42 or 44 that he was on in Game 4, he'd struggled. And then you've got Giannis in his prime. You're trying to win as Boston only over the next 2-3 years while you've still got Pritchard and Brown and White all in their prime.
It'd be smart.
Giannis would be the perfect drive and kick and then still gets the rebounds. And then Tatum can go to the Bucks. They can build around him. They get a first round pick in 5 years. So then if you're the Bucks, you're thinking Boston will be shit by then so that you get a good pick. I don't know. I would say yes if I was the Bucks. Sorry, if I was Boston, I'd do that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it'd be good if that ends up happening, I reckon.
I don't know if it could happen now
Should
because
we
of the Achilles,
quickly
but yeah.
have a quick yarn about the draft?
Yeah, I think we have to.
I think it needs to start. The lottery needs to be lively televised.
Either lottery lively televised or just flat out abolished and just go back to if you are the worst team in the NBA, you get the first pick.
Yeah. Yeah, it might bring back tanking, but
So, I think for me what's weird, there's two parts to this. One, every time the Lakers have made a big time trade or LeBron has been involved, like LeBron went to the Heat, Cleveland got the number one pick.
yeah.
I think Chicago had a 2% chance. They got Derrick Rose, the hometown kid. Um, Anthony Davis traded from the Pelicans next year. Pelicans, number one pick.
Yeah.
And now it's happened again with Luca. I think something's a little bit fishy there.
Well,
But
there was
on
rigs
top of
back
that,
when Patrick Ewing got drafted because they bent the card, so he knew which one it was.
yeah, exactly. So that happened as well. Um, and then the other one on top of that was that the team with the worst odds, every single time that this has happened, like the last 3 or 4 years in a row, they've got exactly the fifth pick.
Yeah.
Like, what are the chances? Now you're looking
Yeah,
at 0.0005% chance of that happening 3 years in a row, and it has. Like, it's crazy. So they need
I
to
think
fix
they
something
need to
up.
start proving it, showing it live.
Well, we thought this was such a conspiracy theory. We're thinking of our next episode being top 10 conspiracy theories that might actually be true. That's how much we find this a conspiracy theory. That it's all rigged.
Well, there's plenty out there.
Oh, man. We could be here for weeks if we're talking about conspiracy theories.
Alright, I think that's enough basketball for this evening.
Move forward. What are we doing, NRL or AFL?
Yeah, quickly go into the NRL. I think we'll whiz through these, I'm pretty sure.
Everything
Uh,
pretty much went as we expected.
yeah, so what, last Thursday you had Para and the Dolphins. Dolphins got the 4-point win.
And so they
Uh,
should too.
Eels are still dead last. Dolphins are 12th, so they're still in a chance to make the 8. Will they make it? Yeah. Who knows? They got great players. I guess the good thing for them is they'll probably lose the Hammer during Origin.
Yep.
Maybe Arrow if he's good enough, but they should be fine to the Origin period, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, Para's just they
I
keep
don't know where
saying that.
Para at. They're just not as classy. Like the Dolphins aren't obviously great, but they had a 90% completion rate. So
Yeah,
they just finished their sets more. They're a little bit more aggressive. I mean, Para struggled to score, and that's because they can't fucking get the ball in their hands. So
yeah.
um, yeah, I don't know. Para don't even look like they'll win a game at this stage.
Because the problem with Para is Moses is probably going to go to Origin, so your star's gone. Lomax comes back this week, but he's got one game to prove that he's Origin ready. Will he get picked? I reckon he probably will. So that's 2 stars gone, but
Yep.
yeah, good luck to them next week because Para's got Newcastle tomorrow, which should be
Yep.
an actual good game, and Dolphins have the Warriors, which will test them.
Well, that's a perfect segue because Newcastle 20-0 up against the Titans
Yes,
inside 30 minutes. What the hell happened there?
well, you saw Desi Hasler's face. I think he was shocked.
Yep.
I made a joke when Philip Semi scored. I was watching it because I tipped the Titans. I was yelling out, "Come back here, come back!" And then to go play darts and come back and to see 24-20, you go, "What the fuck?" I don't know what is going on at Newcastle, but they're getting Dylan Brown, the $13 player next season, and I reckon Pong is going to dip.
Yeah, you reckon he's gone?
Yeah, well, he's not going to win a premiership there. And
Not
it's
going to
not
win
going
a
to.
premiership there. I mean, if you had faith before, you probably don't now. You're 20-0 up and you can't even hold on. and they've looked
Yeah.
pretty average in some other games this year. Newcastle, I can't imagine him staying on.
So I reckon he might do. I don't know when his contract ends, but he might do a year with Dylan Brown to see how it works. But
Yeah,
you can't be 20-0 up and lose.
yeah,
In the
essentially,
in the NRL, it's a lot harder. It's not like
yeah,
Aussie rules or basketball, but we've already said who Knights have next week, so they should hopefully get up because they're sitting at 14th. So 12th, last first fucking 12th. Was it? No, 14th, sorry.
yeah. So
So,
we've just had last first 12th, and now it'll be last first 14th. So some
a nail
riveting
biter.
viewing. Yeah. There
Uh,
was another comeback, not as big, but the Rabbitohs also got the chocolates over Broncos.
yeah.
Um, Latrell Mitchell putting the team on his shoulders.
Yeah, it was a close game, and then he done that friggin' 48-meter drop kick,
Mm,
which
yeah,
was crazy. I don't get what's going on with the Broncos because they've now lost two straight after they knocked off the Dogs.
yeah. Maybe just yeah. They've looked tired. Maybe they just forced so much energy into that Broncos game. Sorry, the Bulldogs game. Now the Bulldogs hit hard. So
Yeah,
are they sore? Are they nursing some injuries because they're playing tired? Like they shot out the blocks. They're 14-0 up, and then they just looked like they were running in sand in the second half. Did you watch
yeah.
any of the second half?
No, I didn't, but they've now lost Ben Hunt, and
Yep.
you'd think they'd have momentum after beating the top side. Since they beat the top side, they've lost two straight, and the Bulldogs have won two straight.
Yeah, yeah. So for the Bulldogs, iron sharpens iron.
Yeah,
They had a good fight against them and then fell apart late, and then they made sure that doesn't happen again. But I mean, the same thing against the Panthers. They shot out of the blocks, scored first, scored early, looked okay, and before you know it, the Panthers just went bang, 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 and they just looked like the Broncos couldn't run with them. So that's 2 weeks in a row now where they've allowed teams to go whack, whack.
yeah.
And I just think the Broncos are tired. That's what it looks
What
like.
do you thought in that last try by Latrell? The going down then diving. I know people say play to the whistle, but it's a bit.
I did. That was all over my TikTok. That's how I then went back and watched the second half because I was like, oh yeah, I should probably see what happened in this game. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
I
Contentious. Like
I
he just
do
sort of.
say
It
play
was a
to the
play.
whistle.
He is there, and he just. I don't know. It's like when they play those really bad advantages in football when the whole game stops
Yeah, and
and
then
then the
they
guy go
play
and
the
plays
game
on.
on. Yeah, it's
Same
just
thing. Everyone stopped. Everyone stopped. I don't know.
yeah, but it
For me,
wasn't
I
the
hate that.
it was yeah I hate it. It wasn't the game decider. Thank God. I don't think they would have been as switched off.
Mm.
But it is what it is.
Yeah, I think the 2 point field goal got it done. I
Yeah,
don't think Broncos were going down and scoring, but yeah, imagine if that's what put them in front. There would have been even more talk about
no,
it.
it
I
would have
feel.
been all talk.
Mm.
Here's another comeback. 20 to the Raiders, 32 to my Dogs. I missed this game because I was playing footy.
And you would be spewing.
Yeah, I didn't get to watch it. I lost in footy, by the way. Uh,
How
we
have you boys started this year on a
won the
local level?
first game, lost the next three. So we're
Sounds
not
like
looking
us.
we're not looking the best. But yeah, 20-0 to start.
Now we were
And
just talking about you shouldn't lose a 20-0 comeback, and this is the
yeah,
Raiders of all teams.
in Canberra as well. And so two home teams get 20 up. Everyone's all excited. And then bang, bang, bang. Crichton
Now
stepped up.
Crichton stepped up, and he was awesome. Looking at this, could I assess the game without even watching it at all? Every single try was scored on one end of the ground. Was there a wind?
I'm not sure if there was.
So because four tries in the first half, and the Raiders. I did watch a bit of the second half, like some of the Bulldogs highlights.
Yeah.
The Raiders just looked like they were constantly in their 30 just trying to defend. So I wonder,
If the
without
wind
looking
played a
into it,
part.
if there was a wind because you, so Canberra scored in the first 3 minutes, and then the Bulldogs in the second half scored within the first 4 minutes. So you're telling me you can't score for a whole 40 minutes, but then in the first four of the second half you just go whack.
Yeah, straight
Um,
up. There must. Oh,
Straight
there
up.
could have been.
Just yeah, it'd just be interesting to see if like I can't flick any of the stats into first half, second half. It would be pretty cool to have a look because to me personally, it just looks like at half time like just a wind,
Yeah.
and they
But
played
that's
on either
good
side
for
of
the
the ground.
Dogs. That keeps us on top. And the Raiders drop out of the 4 to 5th.
Yep.
Another close game. The Warriors 1 point over the Dragons, 15-14.
Now a little bit strange. He scored this in the 70th minute, so they still had to hold on for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
The Warriors, but they got the, the job done. Um, in my opinion, it probably shouldn't have been this close in the first place. I mean, the Warriors are 7-2. Imagine if they'd lost that game.
It'd be
Uh,
typical Warriors if they'd lost this game. The
yeah.
Dragons have been playing heaps of games where they possibly should have won, but there's just no real nail in the coffin with this mob. They're just. I don't know, they started the year kind of really well. And it's like since that Parramatta lost, which they should have won, they've kind of just been mediocre.
Well, the Dragons and Panthers are weird. They're both 3-6. Panthers, obviously, we'll get to them. Had a draw. But Panthers are -2 on the season, and the Dragons are -15. So
Yeah.
they're in close games. They're not getting beaten by a lot. So they're clearly not horrible. But I mean, at the end of the day, if they're 3-5 going into that game, you'd think the Warriors would be able to deal with them pretty handsomely. But apparently not.
Well, the Warriors should be two interesting looks. They've got Dolphins obviously this week, which we mentioned, but this could be a game of the round. Warriors versus the Broncos.
Yeah, yeah, that could be a good game. Warriors have sort of won a few in a row, obviously, and the Broncos are sliding, so that we'll get a good feel of where both sides are at.
Yeah, Dragons, they're at Suncorp, so you'd think the Broncos would have it on them.
Now, call me stupid. I literally thought that an NRL game would be um, always golden point. I just thought the game ended on a golden point. I didn't know that you could actually like go through your five. Is it only 5 minutes, or do you get 5 minutes both ways?
5 minutes both ways, I think.
Okay,
I
and
think if you
then
do it in the first 5 minutes, it's over.
right, and then after that, it's just a draw. Clearly,
Yeah, if
I
you
didn't think
don't.
you could draw in NRL. I don't know why. I thought there
No,
was always a result.
no, you can. So obviously it's good golden points. Whoever scores in extra time, it's done.
Yep, yep.
But no, this was an interesting game. I wasn't actually gonna watch it until I saw the score at the end and decided to chuck it on. And Panthers should have won this game. Oh, not in the during it. They had a good comeback, that's for sure, to tie it up. But they need someone that can do a field goal. God,
Yeah,
they were spraying them. Even the
yeah,
commentators were saying, someone get Jonathan Thurston.
yeah. They needed someone just to finish it. Like 1 point field goal, 0 for 2. 2 point field goal, 0 for 2. Like the Cowboys fucking wasted some chances in front of goal. JT
But
could
it,
have fucking hit some of those easily.
but it's good they're sitting in six, so for a team that was struggling at the beginning of the year, that's really
Mm.
handy. Penrith is still 16th, so for them to make finals, it would be interesting if they can even make it now, I reckon. They've got the bye this week, which doesn't help, and then, well, the origin period starts to come then,
And for them, that probably shoots them in the foot even
because
more.
they'll lose a few players, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. So, I don't know. I think all I can think of with the Panthers is maybe like the Sydney Swans situation. I think that was 2016, maybe when Sydney were 1-9, and then they
Yeah.
just went on this massive tear in the back end and made finals. But
I mean,
yeah,
anything is possible. because there's bloody 27 rounds, and we're only
Yeah,
up to
you're only a third of the way through.
round 10.
So all of a sudden, if they go 6-3 in their two next blocks, then I mean, what are you looking at there? You're looking at 15 wins. Does 15 wins get them in the finals?
Oh,
Most likely.
you'd think so.
So you never know what's going to happen there.
Well, here's a
Uh,
team that most teams would be scared of. Storm are playing like the Melbourne Storm should.
yep.
64-0
And
against
it's
the
not like the
Tigers.
Tigers are bad. They were
Nah,
5-4 before this game.
the Tigers were very comfortable in the 8, and then one afternoon in Melbourne, 64-0.
Did you have Pappenhausen in your team?
Yeah, he got me 99, and he
Yeah.
wasn't even my captain.
Sure.
Yeah.
What now? I still haven't jumped on the NRL fantasy train. By the looks of it, about 60 to 70 is a good score per player.
Oh, that's a great score.
Yeah. Like you're
50,
happy.
50 upwards is what you're looking for.
Yeah, so 50 NRL fantasy is the AFL fantasy 100. That'd be
Yeah.
about right.
'Cause
This
if
motherfucker scored
40,
99.
yeah, 40, yeah, you'd take a 40. 30, that's when you're like, here we go. But yeah, he got 32 or 34 points. And I've got Pappenhausen. I think he should be picked for Origin.
Yeah, well, who would be playing better than him at the moment?
Oh, well, Tedesco's playing good. It's
Yeah.
like when people say Tedesco's old and washed, he plays good the lead up to Origin. And then you got Dylan Edwards, who's our international fullback. But he always has a groin hamstring injury.
Yep.
Well, not always, but he has a bit of problems at the moment with that.
So, I mean, he's got to be looked at for sure. You don't score
Oh,
4 tries and do 10 conversions if you're fucking playing shit.
yeah, he's bloody. He was all talk before his big incident with his legs.
Yeah.
They were talking about him playing Origin, and then obviously it happened. But I think even if he's not the starting fullback, put him on the bench
Yeah.
and play him
Yeah.
as a winger.
I
It'd
feel
be
like he
insane.
deserves to be in there. Yeah, yeah. And he looks like he's got some of his speed back. And I say back because if you go and watch him pre-injury, that motherfucker was insanely fast.
Yeah,
So yeah, for Pappenhausen to look like he's got some of his speed and his burst back, credit to him. It's been a long time since he's looked like he's had his body right.
yeah. Well, Tigers got Rabbitohs Sunday Ave.
Could
So
be a good game.
it honestly could be a good way to shut the week out. But
Mm.
let's go to the last game. Manly 14 to your Sharks 30.
This
Your
felt
boys,
like, yeah, I was
they
talking to
needed
Dad
that.
about this. Yeah, this felt like watching three different games. So we played really well in the first half, and I was messaging Dad. I'm going, oh, we look back. Like defense was really solid. They looked like they couldn't even score. We had a 2-try lead, and then I watched the first 15 minutes of the second half, and all of a sudden it's 12 all, and I'm like in the blink of an eye. So I watched that unfold, and then I got busy Sunday night dinner, and then come back and we'd 30 to 14. So it was like a tale of three games. But I
Yeah,
was shows we're getting better as a side though, like and just starting to gel at the right time. Like 3 tries in 15 minutes to close the game out. It's a pretty solid effort.
well, Manly's still in the 8, but this has kind of been their story for the past few years. Start the season looking like, oh, here we go. And then they just slowly dip out. I've heard some people say that Cherry Evans just needs to go. They don't.
Mm.
I think Wade Graham said
Yep.
his head doesn't look like it's in it, or if he's making the decision, just to say it now, because he doesn't look good at the moment. He won't
Mm.
be getting no contract if he's playing the way he did.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, proofs in the pudding, like you said. They started out shit hot, and they were what? I think they were they 3-1. Yeah, were they 3-1? I
Yeah, they
think.
started off on fire, I think.
Then they lost to go to 3-2, and then I think they went 4-2, and now they've lost three in a row.
Yeah, so, and you could even bring up, it was him opening his mouth saying he wants out.
Yeah, yeah. If you start losing the locker room like that, that's going to be hard to come back from.
But they
Surely.
do have a lot of injuries, so you could
Yeah.
use that. But every team's got injuries. I just think he needs to say it now, or fuck, just fuck off. I've lost you. You've gone quiet.
I muted my mic accidentally.
All right. What did you say before you cut
Basically,
out?
yeah, I was just basically saying like proofs in the pudding. Like you just need to put it all out on the table because if there's Chinese whispers around a football club, like no
No,
wonder why they've
it's
gone
not
one
going
and
to
three.
work. 100% it's not going to work.
They just look like they don't have faith in each other
Yeah.
at the moment. All right,
And, yep. To the AFL, I think.
to the AFL summary. Well, all the games pretty much went as expected. I
One
would
of the
feel.
closest rounds ever.
Yeah, yeah, that was the only like the results probably made a little bit of sense, apart from one, and we'll get to the very last round game of the round. But I felt like Collingwood, because they got injuries and they're travelling interstate, I felt like it was going to be a 14 point either way, like a
They
2 goal
started
swing either way.
well, Freo.
Yeah,
Rach would have been excited.
yeah. Rach, when I said, "Oh, Freo and Collingwood have started," she goes, "Oh, I don't want to watch that shit." She's thinking Freo are going to get whacked. Next minute, we get a message in our group chat. Rach is excited. They're 3 goals to nothing up. All just to be let down again.
Yeah, I think it was pretty. Everyone kind of knew that result that was coming. Where does Freo sit? Oh, 11th. So,
Yeah. They win and then they lose. They win and they lose. It's such an up and down season for them so far. What were your thoughts on the Lucky Schultz situation? Did you see it?
I saw him get obviously knocked around, then you got the trainers picking him up and all that. It's a bit.
So my two parts to it is the AFL just need to like properly sanction umpires. Like
Yeah.
the audio came out. I was listening to I think I was listening to Bucks and Jared Waitley. Or maybe it was I think it was actually Tim Watson and Gary on the radio. They had the audio and it was the umpire had seen Lockie Schultz fall back over once he tried to get himself up, and the umpire goes, "Ooh," and then the other umpire goes, "No, no, we're right, play on." So
Yeah,
they've
no.
watched Lockie Schultz get knocked out, get himself up, and then collapse, and they still didn't stop the game.
Yeah, if you're trying
Crazy.
to protect the players from head injuries and you've seen one collapse from a concussion, you got to stop the game.
Pretty
Your
sure I
job is
saw.
the
You
the
go.
umpire's job is to protect the players.
And I'm pretty sure at the start of the year we saw the whole game stop because their Lord and Saviour Nick Dacos got a cramp,
Yeah,
and they stopped the whole game for it. And then all of a sudden a guy actually gets KO'd, and they don't want to do anything.
yes, they need to start fining umpires. It's getting out
Pretty
of hand.
Pretty
It's, at the
average
end of
look
the
on their
day,
behalf.
they can't be a protected species because it's their job, and a lot of money goes into this job.
Exactly. Do we need to get umpires full-time gigs so they can do proper coaching and training and everything like that?
Well, don't they have that already?
No, they're not full-time. So they can have an umpire's boss that looks at them and just does the occasional meeting and stuff, but it's half an hour, 45 minutes of your time. It's not you sitting there for a few hours a day, every day, and training and situations and what to do here and there. They don't cover all that. A lot of it's still instinct.
Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting, but I think they need to stop also changing rules because it will
Oh, yeah.
it
How hard
will
would it be to umpire our game? Fuck that.
confuse when every year they decide to change rules or make ones up. As much as yes, it was their bad, they didn't stop the game. I do feel for them. I would an umpire. I reckon it's a stressful gig.
Yeah.
But yeah, they need to do something. They need to be accountable for their decisions. And
Yeah.
usually it's a decision that's like, oh, a kick that should have been a free kick or a goal. This is someone that's actually concussed. It's
Mm,
pretty serious.
exactly. Very serious. And potential for like back injury, neck injury. Like there's more to just the concussion. So they
Yeah,
need to stop the game, get him stretch it off, and then go from there. But I thought Collingwood looked pretty professional all in all, and to get over the line by 2.5 goals shows what a good side that they are.
yeah, definitely. All right, the Friday night. I don't know why they keep giving Saints the Fridays, but they got another one. And they lost to the Blues.
Boring game
Thoughts?
again.
Yeah, I reckon they
Boring
just
game again.
this ain't the 2009 Saints. I tipped them too, the bastards. I thought it was a
I
bit of momentum from the week before,
yeah
and
yeah.
yeah,
What was strange is like you actually saw 54-40 at half time, and thought, oh, okay, bit of scoring. It's actually not a bad game. I think Saints shutting it down in the third quarter, like both sides only scored a goal. I think it
yeah,
actually worked in Carlton's favour because they actually then had the legs to run out in the last quarter. I didn't feel like they looked challenged, even though the game was kind of close. If you know what I mean.
yeah, yeah. I get
So
you.
yeah, I think Saints trying to go back to just a defensive masterclass, but I mean, you guys are behind. You need to score, and they didn't do that.
Yeah, it's just a boring game to watch.
It
It
was
wasn't
terrible.
really fun to watch.
Fucking
Skip straight to the Hawks in Melbourne.
yep.
This game was interesting. I didn't mind this.
Yeah, I was listening to this more so on the radio because I was sort of running a few errands on the Saturday.
Yeah, I was watching this at the
Pretty good game until
canteen at the
yep.
Bakers Creek Footy Club. But
Pretty good
Hawks,
game until 3/4 time, like past three in the last quarter when Hawthorn kicked away.
yeah, I think what was it? Demons had the upper hand going into this game over the history in the past.
Mm.
But no, Hawks, you got to be scared of this team. They come roaring in the finals last year, but they're a young, hungry team. They're almost what Melbourne was a couple of years ago.
What's weird about the Hawks is I feel like they're actually not playing great,
Mm.
and they're 7-2. So imagine if they start clicking like they did when we talk about, yeah, they came roaring home in the second half of the season. It could just be very much like that again, but now they're actually winning games. So they're
Well,
seven and two and playing poorly.
they're gonna get tested tonight against the Suns.
Suns in Darwin, and we'll get to the Suns because they're like 7-0 in like seven in a row up there, and I tipped the Suns knowing that they were up in Darwin.
And if you've been to
So
Darwin, it's hot. So
it's
I reckon
muggy.
all year long, I reckon that heat does affect Victorian teams a
Oh
hundred
yeah,
percent. Gold
yeah,
Coast isn't muggy like Darwin, but I reckon because it's Queensland, there's a bit of heat. It kills
yeah.
those Victorian sides.
And you've got the super, like because it is literally starting to get super cold in Melbourne, and they play it during that. Like those teams just get sapped
Yeah. Well, we'll
completely.
skip the Aston game quickly, but we'll go to the Suns because we're talking about them.
Yep,
As we said, undefeated, 10 points against the Dogs. The Dogs they were coming back hard.
they'll
Feist,
come back very
they
hard.
were barking up the tree, I should say.
Oh my god, big time. What was really good to see is it was almost like a slight coming of age for Bailey Humphries. I think he's had a fucking sneaky, really good year. And he sort of stood up when the Dogs were really coming in that last quarter. He got the ball a few times, and especially out of like centre clearance as well.
Oh, yeah.
I just thought that Bailey Humphrey was awesome again. Um, and he had 24 touches. Gets involved in like score involvements as well. Like his touches aren't just meaningless. He actually gets involved in the chains.
Yeah, actually has a go.
Yeah, I think he's awesome. I love him. Um,
Well,
how do you say?
Kelly, since his comeback's been playing out of his skin. Is this the year he
Yeah.
wins the Brownlow?
I don't know. Does he miss out on too many votes early? Like, I mean, it's not like he's missed a lot, but is it enough to sort of?
Well, there's no one that's really. If you want to put Dacos in it, he hasn't been as loud impactfully this year. I reckon it's been more of a team involvement this year.
So I
And
think, yeah, I think Nick, you're right there. Dawson started the year like a house on fire, but he's had sort of an off week, on week, off week because he's starting to get the tag.
Cripps had, I reckon, a quiet start to the year.
Yeah, hasn't been as influential.
He's getting the touches and stuff, but I don't think he's
Now,
been.
while we're winning games, he might get votes, but my boy Zach Merritt,
He's my pick at the moment.
yeah, I think if we could win enough games, maybe he gets enough threes that he could win. Our problem usually is because we drop off and we lose, he starts getting ones when he should get more. Um, Ones or nuns, and then that's where he drops away in the votes. So,
Yeah,
speaking of Zachy Merritt and the Bombers, youngest
just,
AFL fielded side to then
just
pull off a W against Sydney. Now, obviously, an injured Sydney,
well, an
but we
injured
held on.
Bombers too.
We held on. Um,
No, no goal was it? Oh,
who's this?
your boys in the second half couldn't snag a goal. Just the one behind, which was made it a close looking game.
Yeah, in the last quarter, sorry.
Yeah, the
Mm.
last half you just didn't kick a goal.
No, last half we kicked two in the third quarter. It was
Oh,
9 goal to 2 at halftime. Um,
but you almost let them
you've
in.
you you've played in young sides with me, young A grade sides. How many times would we be in a game at halftime and then being a young side we just couldn't run it out? They
Oh, it's
they just get over the top of us.
pretty much the story of my footy career as a senior player. Every
Mm.
club I've ever gone to as a senior, if that was McLaren or Dinga, Victor, now at Magpies, we're pretty much the youngest. I've always been, especially Victor. We were a bunch of 20-year-olds going up against
Grown men.
28 to 30.
Yeah,
But
and we'd be in these contests because we were up and about, and then like we'd have second halves where it was 15 goals to 2, and we're just getting smacked.
yeah,
And that's what it kind of felt like. We were just on the right side with being so far in front, but we
yeah,
just
they
looked
just.
like a side that was young and couldn't run in the second half.
Well, it was Sydney's game to lose because how many shots did they have in that last
Oh, they kicked
half?
3 goals 5 in the last
And they
quarter,
were
and some of those
blowing
were
them.
literally right in front too. So it's not like they couldn't have just easily. It's not like one of those ones where you watch and go, yeah, but every miss was on the boundary line. No, literally,
No,
some of the
they were
misses
in
were 25
front
metres straight
and
in
they were
front, and they were
awful.
butchering them.
But Swans have no one but to blame but themselves. They gave them the lead and they couldn't finish in the last. So good
Exactly.
shit, Sydney.
Do you know what's crazy? Nick Martin, 100% time on ground, didn't come off.
Now that's a player. He would have got the 30 votes, I reckon.
He was unbelievable, 38 for him. My boy Zachy Merritt had 20 and 2 copying a tag, so it's pretty cool that he's
Ooh,
added the goal kicking string to his bow.
that is good.
But my boy
What a,
Zach Reed, I just want you to speak about him briefly. He's unbelievable. Have you actually watched a Bombers game and watched him play?
I haven't really focused on him, sorry.
I need you this week to do me a solid and come back next week. Watch the Bombers Bulldogs game Saturday night. It's in a
I
prime time
will,
slot.
I will be in Nebo Rodeo, so if I can find a
KO
spot.
up with the reception. I'll get a satellite for you. Just put it up while you're out there.
There is a street party, and I remember last year the street party's connected to the pub, but the rugby league's on.
Oh,
Do
of
I be
course.
the do I be the dude that's grown up in a city with a bunch of cowboys say, "Hey, could we turn off this rugby league and play some AFL?" And
No, because I want you to be alive next week for the next episode. So maybe not, but
well, there's a good chance because there's an Aussie rules team further back in Moranbah, which is I don't know now a bushland, but I
maybe
will
they
keep
come
an
out to the
eye.
rodeo.
Surely,
So now we know young Sam Darcy's done his knee for the Dogs, but imagine the centre half back version of him. That's what Zach Reed is.
yeah,
He can
yeah,
kick both feet, 50 metres laser. He takes a mark. He's just had 27 touches and 14 marks playing centre half back, and he also did not come off the ground. He was
Well,
unbelievable.
we'll call it side tagged with his eyes. This will be my job for the week. See how Mr. Reed
Please.
goes.
Please. And preferably I'd want you to fly to Melbourne and actually just watch him only. But I'll stick with this instead.
But yes, I will keep an eye out for that man, and I'll have a whole 3 minute segment of what I saw.
Yeah, good. Good. Book that
Uh,
chat.
to end it, probably the rivalry of the AFL, in my opinion, the showdown, Port and the Crows. I think this is the best rivalry in the modern game.
And not just because we're selfish and you lived in Adelaide for 10, 15
No,
years,
it's
and
better
I
than
live here.
It's better than the Q Clash. It's better than the Sydney Derby or the West Derby. I don't know.
Who cares?
Yeah, all the other states. Yes, I reckon. Obviously, you'd got your Carltons and Collingwood versus Bombers. Yeah, they're historic rivalries, but we're talking about, obviously modern game because they didn't come in until the '90s, both of them. This would probably have to be because they were tied again at like what 28 or 29 all playing each other or something stupid like that.
Nah, 28 each. There's
Yeah,
56 showdowns and it was 28 wins each. So it just shows you how close it is. That's a typical, does not matter where they are on the ladder. I know we speak about that all the time, but it literally does not matter where they're on the ladder and how they're playing. All the games are always pretty much amazing.
well, listen to this first quarter. Port with 3 goals, 1. Crows 3 goals, 4. Go to the second. Port was 7-3. Crows was 7-8. Third quarter, Port with 10-6. Crows 10-8. And then fourth quarter, Port with 12-12. Crows with 13-11.
Now,
Close.
being the dumb fuck that I am, I was watching that last quarter. I was watching the whole game. Saw Rankin kick those 2 goals in a row, and it put Adelaide up by, I think it was 89-66. They were up by 23 points. I've gone, cool, game over, all good, turned it off. I've gone 10 minutes later, I've gone, I'll quickly check what the score ended up being. 5 points, apparently missed an epic. Port came hard. Mark Keane took a Nick Davis style mark in the last quarter to save the game as well. Like, apparently I just missed the most epic 10 minutes ever. What if our man Willie Rioli was playing? Do you reckon they would have won?
I reckon he would have been a difference. Like, in a difference meaning he would have made an impact this game. I don't know
Yeah.
if the score was different, but he is a big time player.
Someone like him, as much as I don't like him, someone like him in the last 5 minutes probably would have popped up and used a bit of
He would have done,
wizardry.
yeah, a bit of that black magic that most of those Indigenous fellas have. He was missed, but yeah, what's happened's happened. I think he's owned up and said he was in the wrong. I think the AFL should have handled it probably a bit better.
Yeah,
But yeah, he owned it, what he said, but he would have definitely been a difference.
absolutely. Now, a couple of epic games on a Sunday. Usually Sunday they're all shit, but somehow they fixtured it right and they ended up working out even better.
I knew this Tigers Eagles game was going to be a banger. The two
Yeah.
bottom, so I knew something was coming.
Yeah, and it was a good game to watch actually, which is shocking to me, but it was actually great to watch too.
I tipped West Coast.
Did you? I tipped Richmond. I thought they might have just got it over the line.
I had that
Um,
soft spot thinking this team can't go winless.
Yeah, surely not. But I mean, heck, what have they won? Are they 3 or 4 games they've won now? Richmond, 3, I
Yeah,
think.
I think they've. Let's have a look. They have won.
Get the ladder
Yeah,
up.
3 and 6. They're coming 16th.
You've got to think that's massive overs for where they were at. That's been incredible.
This is.
Um,
I reckon it's a massive thing for Richmond. They're tied
So,
with Melbourne and
thoughts?
Sydney.
Here you go. Yeah, that's crazy that they're tied with Sydney. If they could get together 6 or 7 wins, would you still pick him as coach of the year, Adam Muse?
I'd
They were
honestly,
tipped to win nothing. So 6, 7 wins is obviously humongous overs.
if you're going for 6, it depends where they finish. But you could almost put Dimmer in there if the Suns finish top 4. But what you're saying, I think, I know, bring up controversy, I reckon, because you'd have, let's say, the Suns make the top four, which is huge. Never made the top eight.
Haven't even made finals, and then all of a sudden they jump to the top
But
four.
then do you give the success to a team that everyone said, no, they'll get spooned and they finish 13th or something?
Yeah,
Because that's
and they
in itself is massive.
because even then, like, it's not like the Tigers have been truly annihilated in a game yet. It's been like pretty close and competitive in quite a few games, and then
Well, your core could be massive because they got Kangas this week.
they've got the Kangaroos this week, so they could win that as well.
They
And
got the
fucking,
Bombers. I'm
with
not,
how all over the place Essendon are, you never
you
know
don't
what
know
we're going to
who's
dish
going
up.
to rock up, and then they've got GWS.
Yep.
They're just scratching in eighth, and then they do have Sydney and the Dogs, which you'd think would be hidings.
Yeah,
But
well, I mean, with the way that Sydney are playing, could they be? They might not be.
how, how'd this game finish? I missed this one. I got the next two.
So, all I can really pin it down to is just desperation from the Tigers to get it done.
Yeah,
Streaming through the middle of the ground, the sub, and this is what I mean by the desperation. Gross from the Eagles, fresh legs just come on, been on for 15 minutes, sprinting through the middle of the ground. And I believe it was Banks. Was it Banks? Or was it Tom Brown? It was Tom Brown. Missed the body spoil 3 seconds earlier. Instantly flicked his switch to chase instead of just going, oh shit.
yeah.
Ran him down. Gross had teammates everywhere he could have handballed to or lowered his eyes. Instead, he was streaming inside 50, went to load up for the goal, couldn't get it done. So, just massive desperation from Richmond. They're obviously playing for each other and the fans. Still pretty cool to see the fans roll out in numbers as well because they
Yeah,
clearly
that is
aren't a
good.
great side. But, yeah, they were unbelievable.
All right, for the two most frustrating teams in the AFL, the Cats are 7th and the Giants are the 8th. 104 Cats to the Giants 105.
Yeah, this was also, I thought Geelong, and I think it was Hawthorn last week, was game of the year. Sorry, Geelong Collingwood. And then Geelong instantly in this game was another epic. I can't get a gauge on Geelong. They're obviously not
Me
bad.
neither. The narrative of they're too old and stuff is obviously gone now. Yes, they've got old heads, but they've got a core of so many young boys.
Yeah,
Like,
and they're athletes and like the running power between both the Giants and Geelong was on pretty full display. You could tell how some of the tsunami stuff that GWS were doing, but then flipped by like Bailey Smith and Holmes and Manor and those guys. Like it was such a good game to watch.
yeah, I reckon Bailey Smith is a. I reckon,
I'll talk about Brownlows.
yeah,
Could he be up there?
If he doesn't do nothing silly.
Yeah, and like he can only get so many fines before they might finally suspend him.
Because 35 touches, I reckon lock him in for top 5.
Yeah, yeah, he was
That's my
unbelievable.
call, if he stays healthy.
Now my big man Jesse Hogan, he looked back. He was unbelievable. Another 7 goals and something ridiculous. Got 13 touches inside 50. The next
Yeah.
closest was 7.
He's a great player. He's, after where he was at the beginning of his career, has brought himself together. Now a Coleman medalist. He's been
And could go
massive.
back to back.
Yeah. So it'd be
So-
interesting to see where he finishes in the leaderboard.
And Stringer started to look like he was getting back into rhythm, and then does a hamstring. So, yeah, I don't know. I wonder if I wonder if sort of GWS are kind of kicking themselves a little bit that they've got him.
Yeah. Now see what happens with old Stringer, because they've still got, heaps of injuries. Toby Green's got an ankle, so you'll have to do a test.
Yep,
You got Josh Kelly with his hip, that's 3 weeks.
yep,
Brent Daniels' abdomen, that's 4 weeks. Then you got Toby Bedford with an eye, he's got to get tested. Darcy Jones with the knee, that's got to be tested. Yeah,
they've definitely got a few injuries. Like I think Daniels is one of those big outs, and Kelly is obviously playing relatively well as well. So yeah, it's not great, but they at the moment they've still got enough to keep getting the job done.
Yeah.
So if they can keep sort of knocking up wins, they'll be all right.
Well, it's an interesting game for both of them. You got Port and Geelong, which
Yep.
is going to be Adelaide Oval, interesting, and then you got Giants and Freo.
Yep.
Should be another. See how they both who shows up, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Oh, whoa.
Jesus.
Well,
All right. Yeah. So interesting for both teams. I mean, they're both seventh and eighth, and just based off percentage, like they're only a percentage separate. But if Essendon can somehow beat the Dogs, they'll. Well, actually, they're tied with the Dogs as well. I didn't realise that was such a large tie.
yeah,
So they need to get some W's on the board so they can start to make some separation from the bottom half of the table. Otherwise, we're just going to be stuck in this sort of continual loop of waiting until the next week and the next week and
yeah.
who's going to win, who's going to lose.
All right.
Who would you have your tip on, just quietly? Surely GWS get it done. The
I'd
Port at
go-
home get the job done against Geelong?
Nah, I reckon Port are done. I'd say Cats manhandle them by 30 plus.
So we're
Right.
back. So Geelong and GWS are probably both 5-goal favourites.
Yeah,
So it just keeps them in the same loop for now.
and then
And your boys, Brisbane.
I had a feeling this game. I didn't feel confident whatsoever. North Melbourne in Tassie is always, I reckon, a bit iffy because
Yep.
they've always played good there. We should have lost this game fair and square.
Yep.
We'd gotten little leads here and there, maybe 2 goals or so, but as much as I'm a Lions man, I was really happy to see the Kangas play well. I've got a soft spot for this team. I want them to do well,
Yep. Yep.
and I think they should have won the game.
They probably deserve to in the end, especially with the way that they had you can see they had a crack and they wanted to. It's probably just because the Brisbane are as classy as they are that they did escape with just a draw there. And
Well,
look,
those 2 points gave us the top.
yeah, and it says that North Melbourne are 1-7 and a draw, but their last 3 games, like Port Adelaide lost by 8 points, they lost to us by 3 points, and then they obviously draw against Brisbane. So they've clearly made a switch with their defensive tactics to keep them within these games, and then hopefully for their sake they'll flip the switch pretty soon and get themselves a W.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Well, they've got bloody Richmond this week, and I'd be.
They can't get it done this week. Who fucking knows when they'll next win a game?
Yeah, because they've got Richmond and Collingwood, then they get the bye, and then after the bye they got West Coast, so they've got
Yeah.
a chance to win 2 out of 3 games here.
Yep. Yeah, and they need to. They need to just show their supporters, and even just sort of, we talked about it with the NRL side of it. If you've got no belief, then you'll just see them fall away in the second half of the year. So
Yeah.
if they can at least beat those sides and instill some belief that what Clarkson's doing is working, then they should be all right.
Yeah, and I reckon there is a lot of belief in this team.
Especially with how
100%.
young they are. Especially with how young they are.
And like I said in the NBA, they've got that old head in, what's his name? Come from the Swans. Just went blank. Luke Parker.
Luke Parker.
And it could also stick in Caleb Daniels. Not as old, but they've both had success in premierships.
Yeah, and they just need to. They have that been there, done that attitude and mentality. So hopefully that is helping Ishizu and McKercher, all their young guns, that they can look at those guys and go, right, they've tasted success and this is what they did to get there, and
Yeah.
then go from there.
Absolutely.
All right, sir. Well, we thought we'd try and do a quick episode, and we ended up doing the same hour and 14 minutes as what we always do. So
I think
we'll
that's
leave
the
it there.
average, but we got it done. That's the main thing.
We got it done, and we will get this out tonight. So kudos. Who's your tip on the Thursday night game? Gold Coast in Darwin?
I've tipped the Suns. Yeah,
I've
starting
tipped
to
the
feed
Suns too.
in that humidity.
For the rest of the week, New York gets it done over Boston. Thunder gets it done over Denver. And then hopefully by then we've had some game 1 and 2s in the East and Western Conference finals.
and it's game 2 of the Women's Origin.
And we'll leave it on that. All right. No.
Hopefully the Queensland can tie it, but that's it.
And bring it back. I did not even know there was a female Origin on. That's how well I'm going.
Yeah, the radio told me today, so that's my insight.
Well done. All right, sir.
All right.
I'll catch you later.
Catches.
Bye.